Scandalous statement by Koldo García at the trial taking place in the Supreme Court. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares, and pay attention because we're going to tell you everything he said, the most important things he said. Koldo García in his statement as the accused in the trial taking place at the Supreme Court about the corrupt scheme known as the Koldo scheme, though it could also be called the Sanchez PSOE or government scheme, however you choose to name it. Pay close attention, because he has made serious accusations against the UCO. He has admitted that the 500 euro bills were the famous Chistorras and many other issues that we are going to detail right now. By the way, if you haven't done it yet, remember to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel because I think we're at 128,000, so we're doing great, getting back up to cruising speed to reach 150,000. And now let's get into this statement from Koldo García, which went on practically until almost 7 in the evening. It should be said that during the morning, Koldo García started answering questions from the chief anti-corruption prosecutor, Alejandro Luzón. He was there practically all morning, and then, at the very end, the last hour, more or less, that's when he started answering questions from his lawyer, Leticia de la Hoz, because he didn't want to answer questions from the other parties. Koldo García, you know that since he's the accused, he can afford not to answer, and that's his right, and that's what he decided. Only answer the prosecutor and only answer his lawyer. Let's go over the general outline of Koldo García's statement. I have to say it was very different from Victor Daldama's statement yesterday. Koldo García wanted to project a disheveled image with that beard since he's in prison, obviously, but he could shave. With his hair all messy, wearing a brownish sweater with lint on it, then some jeans, some sneakers, and so on. I think this whole look, this whole appearance is all very carefully planned. Why do I say this? Because Koldo García wanted to sell us a story, the story of a villager who just came down from the village, who only needs to be carrying a sheep under his arm, right? And a person who didn't know anything, who had no knowledge, who, as he said about 20 times during this statement, my knowledge doesn't go any further than this. In other words, he tried to sell us the idea that he was a bit limited mentally, that he was a little slow, right? I mean, all of this, in my opinion, was put on. He wanted to make us believe he's dumb, but I think he was trying to fool us, and I'll tell you why later. That's on one hand, right? So we have Koldo acting dumb, pretending he doesn't know anything, that his knowledge doesn't go very far, that he barely has any education, and so on. And then on the other hand, he wanted to sell us the image of a national hero, What was the national hero Koldo García supposed to be?
Bueno, pues ha recordado su etapa
as a collaborator with the civil guard against ETA terrorism. That's very commendable, of course. Then he said that he also ended up collaborating in operations against jihadist terrorism. At another point, he even said that he was the savior of women and that he has fought against gender-based violence and so on. I mean, he wanted to sell us an image of himself as a savior, as a hero of the country. And all of this, of course, came with extra selling points by the idea that he was someone who dedicated himself to looking for the best in people. That they felt comfortable, that they felt at ease, that they were happy. And that's why he dedicated himself to seeking the well-being of everyone around him and, of course, the well-being of his boss, right? José Luis Ábalos, Minister of Transport. And that's why what he was saying, what he meant was that what he wanted was to spare him headaches, and that everything he could do or get ahead of, he did it in the name of José Luis Ábalos to take work off his plate so he could focus on that. That has been just so we get the idea what the whole setup looked like, okay? The staging, which, by the way, I have to say that later when he stopped answering the chief anti-corruption prosecutor Alejandro Luzón, with whom he had a few run-ins, a few back and forths and so on. Well, we got to another moment with the lawyer, with Leticia de la Hoz, where he started making headlines because his testimony this morning was pretty weak, you know? It was pretty weak. After Aldama, well, obviously things have changed a lot. The tone has changed a lot from Victor de Aldama, who was descriptive, detailed, and so on. Well, we found a Koldo Garcia who was vague, who went off on tangents, who got confused, who couldn't remember, who would get indignant. Suddenly he would make faces, gesture, grumble, sigh, and so on. But then when his lawyer, Leticia de la Hoz, started questioning him, of course, everything is fully prepared with all questions and answers ready. That's when things changed. The situation has changed, and of course, Koldo Garcia has now started to absolutely deny everything that implicates him. He has presented himself as someone who had no decision-making power at all. That everything, how was he going to decide on buying masks? How was he going to intervene in the European bailout? If he doesn't know anything, he just fell off the turnip truck, right? That's basically the story he's tried to sell us. Then he also talked about Jessica, the famous prostitute connected to Jose Luis Ábalos. And what he basically said indeed is that Jessica Rodriguez continued to enjoy the gifts from Jose Luis Ábalos for a very specific reason. And that very specific reason is that, according to Koldo Garcia himself, she had him by the balls because she said that otherwise she could reveal information about his private life, about Ábalos' private life, to the public. And that's why Ábalos in some way felt blackmailed and had to keep paying for the apartment as part of those gifts. The rental apartment in Plaza de España, the iPhone with I don't know how many gigabytes that she asked for, the little ring and so on. Well, all those little gifts and all those favors that he kept giving her even after they had ended whatever it was they had, which I don't even know how to describe, he kept doing it precisely because of that. Because Ábalos felt coerced, and that's what Koldo Garcia has said. Koldo Garcia, instead of saying coercion, said that Jessica pressured Jose Luis. She pressured Jose. That's why he kept giving her favors. But then he has also made very serious accusations against the investigators. Of course, he has tried to discredit all the UCO reports that have already been submitted in the case, which are part of the case file, and have cornered him. And he started saying, well, pretty much that they made mistakes when investigating his assets, that they misinterpreted messages, and there have been two particularly serious issues. One of them described how UCO agents leaked to him that they were investigating not only him but also Jose Luis Ábalos himself. He said he didn't know that Ábalos was being investigated, that he did notice he was being followed, and that he spoke with two UCO agents who told him, leaked to him, supposedly tipped him off, that Ábalos was also being investigated. That's what Koldo Garcia said. A very serious accusation. But then he also spiced it up with an even more serious accusation. He said that other UCO agents he met with told him that what he had to do was, well, testify against his boss, against Jose Luis Ábalos in the investigation, and against other people. He just dropped it like that. Boom, Koldo Garcia dropped it. Another equally serious accusation. Koldo Garcia says he has proof to back it up. Well, this would be the time to show them, right? If he has them, he should bring them out because it's a very serious accusation that tries to discredit the UCO in some way. Later, we're going to get into the subject of the Chistorras. You already know that in the investigation, in the case file, there are many UCO reports that refer to WhatsApp messages in which, well, they talk about Chistorras, souls, and lettuces. Chistorras, according to the UCO agents, were 500 euro bills. Souls were the yellow ones, 200 euro bills, and lettuces, 100 euro bills. Well, Koldo Garcia has admitted that the Chistorras were 500 euro bills. He has admitted it, and what he basically said, the statement was totally surreal. It's that those 500 euro bills were given to him by the organization secretariat of the Socialist Party, that is from Ferraz. They gave him those 500 euro bills, and that they were also given to him by civil guard agents. Because like him, he was a collaborator with the intelligence services, and he helped to exchange those 500 euro bills. But the absurdity continued because Koldo Garcia also said that his third way of collecting those 500 euro bills was the rent that tourists paid him for one of his houses. So, those have been the three ways to collect those sausages, those 500 euro bills. But the absurdity didn't end there, because then Koldo García even pointed out that soles could only refer to the currency of Peru and that lettuces were just lettuces, not 100 euro bills. And then to top off this story, he said, well, I also have to say that once in a couple of messages, this is actually true, they really did ask me for sausages. They told me, bring a sausage down to the bar because I would bring sausages from my house and so on. Okay? So, there were real sausages and sausages that were actually 500 euro bills, both meanings, right? And well, basically, this is what came out of this rather surreal statement from Koldo Garcia, at times soporific, at times hilarious, because, well, Koldo Garcia is quite a character, right? There have been confrontations, including a major argument between Chief Anti-Corruption Prosecutor Alejandro Luzon and Koldo Garcia's lawyer Leticia de la Hoz, because she always interrupts him when he's conducting his questioning. And he said word for word that in 35 years of professional practice, he had never been interrupted like that, while he's questioning a defendant or a witness, right? And that's what Alejandro Luzon said. After today's session with Koldo Garcia, the trial resumes this Monday with the cherry on top, José Luis Ábalos himself. Everything that happens in that statement by José Luis Ábalos, where are you going to find the best summary? Right here on Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez. That's it for this edition of Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me your comments, your opinions. Thank you so much for all the thank you messages on the videos, for keeping us informed. Thank you for being there like you always tell me, right? Thank you all. Thank you all for always being so loyal to this channel, Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez. I'm waiting for you to upload your video. Thank you so much for all your comments, your opinions. If you like the video, you can share it with whoever you want. I also want to mention that many of you are asking how to follow the trial live. The trial can't be followed live, because unlike the October 1st trial, the one with the Attorney General and this Koldo scheme trial can't be followed live by streaming. But, as you also know well, all you loyal followers of Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez, we are uploading the videos little by little in the archive section of Precautionary Measures with Miguel Ángel Pérez. You go to the Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez channel, there are several sections, you scroll down, and in the archive section, there I am gradually uploading all the sessions so you can enjoy all the sessions of the trial, so don't miss them. And of course, when we have the statements from Koldo García and Aldama, we will upload them, okay? So you won't miss them there. You'll find them all on Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez. You already know you can join Medidas Cautelares with Miguel Ángel Pérez for under 3 euros a month as one of the chosen, or for under 7 euros a month as one of the supremes. The most important thing, as I always tell you, is that this information reaches everyone, because information is power. See you soon.